424-763. That is the phone number I got a call from one day that I never should have answered, because what happened on this call would lead to me doing something I'll regret forever. And it all started one night where I'm laying in bed scrolling and I get a call from a number I don't recognize. No name, no location tag, just numbers, the way scam calls usually look. And listen, I'm sure you've done this too. You see a number you don't recognize, you let it ring, you go right back to whatever you're doing. That's exactly what I did. I didn't even think about it for another second. But the next day, I'm laying in bed once again and I get a call from the same number at the exact same time as the night before. Now at this point, I'm still not worried. People spam call all the time, but this number calling back at literally the exact same time as the day before should have been the first tiny detail that told me something was off. But I still didn't answer it, because that's how you get a 45-minute call about your car's extended warranty. And I don't even have a car. Well, I do technically, but it's in the shop because I hit someone last week. But anyways, so the next day comes around and sure enough, right on time, I'm laying in bed and the number calls me for a third day in a row. Except this time, they don't just call and hang up. This time, they leave a voicemail. I got excited when I saw they left a voicemail because I was thinking,
ooh, finally, I'm gonna get to hear the voice of my secret admirer.
I'm trying to guess what the voicemail will say. I get a lot of calls from random numbers that think my name is Armand and they always ask if I'd like to sell my house. Don't know why, but I was thinking it would be something like that again. So I press play on the voicemail, put the phone up to my ear, but it's not what I'm expecting at all, because there's no voice saying, "Hey, this is Sam, give me a call back whenever you can, thanks." No, this was nothing like any voicemail I've ever gotten before, because what I hear instead is screaming. Not like a jump scare fake movie scream, but a panicked scream that sounded like it was coming from a real person. I want to tell you that's what made my stomach drop, but it wasn't, because the worst part came about 15 seconds into that minute-long voicemail, when in between the screaming, I hear my own name. Clear as day. It sounds like this. Tyler. And it's coming from a voice much closer to the phone than the person who was screaming. When I heard my name, I sat up in my bed so fast, I almost gave myself whiplash. Because this was how I knew it wasn't a scam call, and it wasn't the wrong number. Whoever called me knew exactly who they were calling, and they wanted me to be scared. At that point, I had two options. Block the number and pretend this never happened, or actually try to figure out what was going on. And listen, I know what you're thinking. You're saying out loud,
block the number, you dummy! Why would you even think about responding?
But you have to understand, once someone screams your name into a voicemail at midnight, blocking them sounds like a great idea, but this was not my thinking. My thinking was,
what happens if I block the number and the person who called me was actually dangerous and they were trying to do something to me?
That thought being in the back of my head was enough for me to investigate further into the situation. So I told myself,
if they call again, I'm picking it up this time. I need to know who this is.
That decision right there might be the dumbest thing I've ever done. And I've done a lot of dumb things. But before that, I did try to actually be smart about it for like an hour. I Googled how to find out who an unknown number belongs to, but I ended up in the most useless rabbit hole of my entire life. Every single website wanted me to pay $20 to unlock the information of the phone number who was calling me. Now I knew those websites were probably scams, but I still tried using 3 of them out of desperation. And every single one of them gave me different information. One site said the number was registered in Ohio, another said Nevada, one just straight up said,
unknown carrier, unknown region.
Even though I literally paid $15 to use that site. I even tried searching the number directly in quotation marks on Google like some kind of detective, just hoping it would pop up on a scam call forum with someone else saying,
hey, this number's screaming my name too.
But unfortunately, I got nothing. Not one single result. So now I was really scared. And I'm anticipating the next day because I know exactly what's coming. Of course, that day comes around and at the exact same time, once again, the number calls. I recognize it instantly at this point. So I take a breath, stare at the screen for a second like I'm about to jump into a pool of cold water, and I answer the phone. I don't say a single word. I just hold the phone up and wait because I want to hear what they have to say. About 5 seconds go by without anyone saying anything, and then finally, just like in the voicemail, I hear screaming again in the background. Except now, it's live. It's happening in real time on the other end of this call. It's a girl's voice. And after about 10 seconds of just holding the phone in silence, listening to this, I finally cave and say something. Hello? Who is this? But literally the second those words leave my mouth, the screaming stops. Completely silent. And that silence was so much worse than the screaming, because the screaming stopping the moment I spoke told me something I really did not want to know. This meant that the person on the other end screaming could hear me. This wasn't a recording. This wasn't automated. There was a real person live on this call who now knew I was listening. So I asked them again, who is this? But this time I get an answer, just not the kind I wanted. Because the answer wasn't a word, it was a loud bang. Like something got knocked over or slammed, and then the call cuts off. I sat there just staring at my phone afterward, replaying it in my head, trying to think about what that bang could have been. But there was something about how sudden it was, right after I spoke, that made it feel less like it was a reaction to me speaking speaking. It felt like whoever that was on the other end got startled when they heard me talk. My heart was going so fast at this point, I could feel it in my ears. I'm sitting there staring at my phone like it's about to explode in my hand. I think about blocking the number right then, like it's gotten too far at this point. But then this thought hits me.
What if blocking them makes whoever this is angrier?
They're obviously crazy, and I just knew if I did that, I would be so paranoid about what could happen next, so I didn't block it. But the next morning, everything changes because I'm eating breakfast, half asleep, when my mom sits down next to me and goes,
Stop calling me.
That obviously sparks my curiosity because of what's been happening, so I say to her, Mom, what are you talking about? And she goes,
This same random number has been calling me every single day this week.
I'm pooping bricks at this point because of the phone calls I've been getting. So I ask her, have you answered any of these calls?
No, I just figured it was one of those scam things. But they keep calling me at the same time every day.
I ask her if I can see the phone number to confirm if my worst suspicion was true. She gives me her phone, I check the number, and it was the same one that was calling me. You could see the shock on my face when I saw this, so my mom asked what was going on. But I didn't tell her what I'd been going through with that number because I didn't want to spook her. And also, how do you even start that conversation? Hey mom, so this number that's been calling you has also been calling me for the past 3 days, and they keep screaming on the other end and also whispering my name into the phone. Don't worry about it though. And at this point, I know what everyone's thinking. Tyler, you're a YouTuber, someone just got a hold of your phone number and they're prank calling you. I wish that was what happened because what actually happened was way worse. But I just told my mom it was probably some scam thing and to block the number, which she did right there at the table, completely unaware of what that number had actually been doing to me. But something shifted in me the second I saw that number match up. This whole time, I've been treating this like my problem, something I could handle or ignore or block and walk away from. Sure, it was scary, but there was also part of me that didn't feel like it was a big deal. But now, they had my mom's number too. And if there's one thing you need to know about me, it's that you don't mess with my mama! This was when I was still in school, so by that point, it became unbearable to go to class. I remember just sitting in school one day, staring at the clock, not because I was bored like usual, but because I knew exactly what time that call was coming, and I couldn't focus on anything else until it happened. My friend noticed I was acting weird and asked what was going on, so I told him the situation. He told me I should report it to someone. The police, Dora the Explorer, anyone that's good at solving things like this, you know? But there was nothing I could tell the police that would do anything. This phone number hadn't threatened me by this point. They were just saying my name, which is creepy, yeah, but not illegal, I think. So instead, I just wait for the next call to figure out my best option. And of course, that night, they call again. I pick up and it's the same screaming, except this time, I actually say something trying to sound intimidating, mostly because I was thinking about them bringing my mom into this, and now I was angry. I tell them,
If they call again, I'm gonna call the police and report whatever this is.
right when I say that, they hang up. No banging sound, no screaming, just gone. For about 30 seconds, I actually felt like I won, like I had scared off whoever this was, and it was finally over. But that didn't last long, because about a minute later, my phone buzzes again. Except it's not a call this time, it's a text with a picture attached. Multiple pictures. The first one is of my house, the front of it. The second picture is the back of my house. And I want you to think about how that feels for a second. A person who had been calling me and screaming into the phone every day has also been standing outside my actual home, taking pictures close enough to get clean shots of both sides of it, and I had no idea when they did it. I zoomed in on both pictures probably about 50 times, looking for anything, a reflection, a shadow, any clue that could tell me who took these pictures. But there was nothing, just my house. Then I see the third picture, and this wasn't my house at all. This picture was some kind of tunnel. I didn't recognize it at all, never seen it in my life. I had no idea where it could be. I showed the picture to my friend over text, and even he, who wasn't in any danger in this situation, texted back saying, bro, this is terrifying. At this point, I'm not thinking clearly anymore. I'm just reacting on pure adrenaline. So I text the number back and ask why they're doing this to me. They say I have to go to the tunnel in the picture at midnight alone, and I'll find out what is happening. I don't know what kind of horror movie they thought we were in, but I was like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
so I tell them I have no idea where the tunnel even is, but almost immediately they send me an address, like they were just waiting for me to ask. I look it up, it's about 2 miles from my house, which somehow makes it even scarier, because this wasn't some faraway location, this was somewhere close enough that I could have driven past it 100 times without ever knowing it was there. But before that night, me and my friend spent basically the entire afternoon playing detective, because by now, this had gone from random unknown number to someone who knows my mom's number, knows my house, and knows exactly where I am. And we thought that meant it had to be someone who actually knew me, and not a stranger. But we were shocked to find out the truth.
Because we figured this had to be someone close enough that we knew personally.
And after doing some thinking, we both landed on the same person, Derek. But anyways, does anyone else have two versions of themselves? Because first, you've got the version of yourself when you have money. Suddenly you're looking at flights for vacation, shoes you definitely don't need, and a new gaming console. But then there's the version of you a week later who has no money. Now you're checking your checking account before realizing you can't even afford to go out to eat with your friends. The funny thing is, it doesn't always have to feel like you're constantly bouncing between those two versions of yourself. One thing I've realized is that when you do have money in your account, it can be working for you. That's what I like about today's video sponsor, Chime. They're America's #1 choice for banking, and their high yield savings account earns 3.75% APY, 9 times the national average. So instead of your savings just sitting there, it can actually earn more over time. For example, if you had $10,000 saved, you would earn about $382 over a year at 3.75% APY, compared to around $38 at the national average. They also don't have monthly fees or minimum balance requirements, and you can create saving goals right in the app. Plus, if you open a new Chime checking account through my link in the description and complete the qualifying requirements, you can earn up to a $350 bonus. Just use the link at the top of the description or scan the QR code on screen to get started. Make sure you go through my link for the exclusive bonus. Now back to the video. Me and Derek used to be friends until a couple months prior to this. The reason we weren't friends anymore was because of something pretty dumb. He found out I didn't invite him to a hangout at my place, and he got way more upset about it than I expected. Literally to the point where he stopped responding to texts and started acting weird toward me at school. My friend brought his name up first.
Haven't you guys been like beefing lately? He's been acting weird towards you ever since.
And the more we talked about it, the more it made sense in our heads. Derek knew where I lived. Derek clearly still had some kind of problem with me. Derek was exactly unhinged enough, in our biased opinion, to pull something like this off. We even started building out this whole theory in the car, like two detectives who watched one too many crime shows, just convincing ourselves that
We already solved this case.
So instead of just waiting around all day being scared, we decided to do something about it. We drove to Derek's house that afternoon and knocked on his door like we were about to solve the case ourselves. He answers, sees both of us standing there, and immediately looks confused. What's up, guys? But the tone he said it in
Did not match someone who'd been orchestrating a week-long psychological horror campaign
against me. I still thought he was guilty though. So I say to him, Derek, why have you been calling me and my mom and sending pictures of my house? When I said this, Derek's face did this slow transition from confused to genuinely offended. Bro, what are you talking about? I haven't called you in months, and I don't even have your mom's number. And by the way he said it, I could tell almost instantly he really did have no idea what I was talking about. When we were friends, Derek was never a good liar, and he looked genuinely weirded out that I showed up at his house accusing him of something like this. He even pulled up his call log right there on his porch and showed us there was no unknown numbers. His call log consisted of nothing but his mom, this girl he liked, and a pizza place he'd apparently call 4 times a week. Don't ask why. We stood there for a second just feeling dumb. My friend says to me,
Well, that was a waste of a day.
and honestly, he wasn't wrong. We apologized to Derek. He told us to never come by his house again. Fair enough. And we left with absolutely nothing to show for it except one more name crossed off a list that never should have had a name on it in the first place. And you might think Derek still could have been guilty and he was just lying to us, but Derek was not a good liar. And I could see on his face the moment we confronted him that he was telling the truth, which meant by the time the sun went down that day, we were right back to knowing nothing. Except now, with way less time before midnight than we would have liked. So I do a complete 180 thinking about how this random person has my mom's number and address. So I decide I'm gonna go to that tunnel. Now here's the thing about me that you already know if you've watched literally any of my videos. I am a certified coward. So when this creepy number texts me saying, come alone, my brain immediately goes, absolutely not. I tell my friend, he's coming with me. He agrees, but I make it very clear. He has to stay in the car because I want whoever was calling me to think I was there alone. But if this is dangerous, I need someone who can step in or call for help. That's his only purpose being there.
So what do? Just sit here like a getaway driver, basically?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yo, that's actually kind of tough, not gonna lie.
On the drive over to the tunnel, he's trying to lighten the mood because that's just who he is.
So what's the plan if someone jumps out at you?
I don't know, man. Scream, I guess.
That's the plan? To scream?
Yeah, do you have a better one?
Yeah, I do. Don't go to the tunnel at all.
Fair point, but unfortunately, that wasn't an option in my head. He also asked if I wanted him to call his older brother, who apparently
knows people?
which I had no idea what that meant, but I quickly turned down. We pull up near the tunnel a little before midnight, and I make him park far enough away that if someone's watching, it doesn't look like I brought backup. I grab a hammer from his trunk because I needed some sort of weapon going into this situation. Now, I've never been in a fight in my life, so I knew if I needed to actually use the hammer, I was probably cooked already. But holding it made me feel like I had a plan, even though that plan was just, if something jumps in front of me, hit it. I walk up to the tunnel entrance, and it's dead silent. No cars, no people, nothing. It's also pitch black. You literally cannot see far into it at all, except for one thing. Because when I look inside, about 100 to 200 feet in, there's a light, a dim, almost flickering light, but it's the only thing illuminating any part of that tunnel. And I just knew. I knew that light was where I was supposed to go. That was the whole point of this entire thing. Walk toward the light like some kind of horror movie extra who dies in the first 10 minutes. So you know what I did right there? I turned around and went home. I know. That's not the story you wanted. You wanted me to be brave. You wanted me to walk into that tunnel like a main character, but I'm not a main character. I'm a coward with a hammer standing outside a scary tunnel at midnight. And I decided going towards 200 feet of darkness with a mystery light at the end was not something I was built for. I'm not bad that, man? So I got back in my car and we left. My friend didn't even ask questions at first. He just looked at my face and started driving. About halfway home, he finally goes,
So we're just not gonna get to the bottom of this?
nope.
You're good with that?
Yeah, he dropped me off, told me to text him if anything else happened, and I remember standing in my driveway for a second, just staring back down the street like something might still be following us. I go inside my house and I do the thing I probably should have done days earlier. I block the number. I even said it out loud to my empty room like that would somehow make it even more official. Okay, it's done. It's over. I check to make sure my whole house is locked up. I tell myself,
This is just clearly some elaborate prank. Someone's just messing with me.
and now that I didn't play along and go into the tunnel, the whole situation is over. But that night, I'm laying in bed and I hear something outside. Not on the phone this time, no, in real life. You know what it is? The exact same scream from the voicemail. Except now it's happening somewhere near my actual house. I basically stopped breathing. Because if this was just another prank call from a phone,
Why is the scream now happening in the real world?
just outside my window, close enough that I could hear it through the glass. I laid there frozen under my covers because everyone knows that as long as you're underneath the covers, you're safe from danger. Then my phone buzzes, and I'm expecting it to be one person only. But when I check, it's a text from a completely different number. It's not the one I blocked, but this one says to go back to the tunnel right now. And this time, don't bring my friend. I sat there for a minute just trying to process the fact that whoever this was clearly had more than one phone, clearly knew I brought someone the first time to the tunnel despite him staying in the car the entire time, and clearly wasn't going to stop unless I actually followed through. I tried thinking of all the other possible solutions to this. I really did. But in my mind, there was really only one option left at this point. So I made a decision that every dumb character in a horror movie that usually doesn't survive also makes. And I said, fine, I'll go into that tunnel. I told my friend what I was about to do, just in case something actually happened to me. Of course, he thought it was a horrible idea. His last text to me before going was literally, they're about to make a documentary out of you if you go there. Which, that was really assuring. Thank you, bro. But I told him I would text him the second I got there and the second I left. And if he didn't hear from me within like 20 minutes, then he could come to the tunnel and check on me. I'm expecting him to say something like,
Of course, bro. I got your back.
or,
No problem. I won't let you get hurt.
but instead he just responds with, if you think I'm going to that tunnel alone after you stopped responding to texts while you're there, you're insane. This is all you, bro. So that made it official. Inside that tunnel was just gonna be me and whoever had been harassing me and my mom for the past couple weeks. 7 days ago, my biggest problem was a math test. Now, I was going into something that, for all I knew, was an evil psychopath's lair. I get back to the tunnel and immediately something feels different. The light that was there before, the one signaling,
Hey, we're definitely not trying to kidnap you or anything.
was now gone. Now it's just pitch black the entire way through. And I'm standing there having a full debate with myself.
Do I go in? Do I stay out here and wait?
At one point, I even start texting this number like they're my Uber Eats driver, saying something like, hey bro, let me know where you at. Because at this point, my fear had turned into exhaustion. I just wanted this to be over one way or another. And that's when I hear the voice again, coming from somewhere inside the tunnel. Looking back, I genuinely could not tell you what gave me the confidence in that moment, but something in me just said, you know what? Who cares? And I walked inside. No hammer this time helping my confidence, no friend waiting outside, just me and this pitch black tunnel. Immediately, my brain starts doing this thing where it narrates my own death before it even happens. Like I'm already picturing the headline. Local coward walks into tunnel, does not survive, didn't even bring a hammer to defend himself. I actually thought about turning back around just to go grab it, but I was already 10 feet in, and once again, I didn't care at this point. The damn concrete in this tunnel had a weird smell to it, like a basement that never sees sunlight, and every step I took echoed way louder than I wanted it to. I kept thinking, if there's someone actually in here waiting for me, they know exactly where I am, because my own footsteps were basically announcing me like a marching band. So I tried walking softer, and I'm walking for what feels like forever. 6, maybe 8 minutes deep, just following the sound of my own footsteps because there's nothing else to hear. But this is the part where I messed up because I had been walking so long without finding anyone or anything. So I tried texting the number asking how far they wanted me to go in. But when you're that deep in the tunnel, you have no service, which made me even more confused because the voice was coming from inside the tunnel, but they were still able to text me. So did that mean there was more than 2 people involved in this? About halfway through, something skittered across the ground just to my left. My first thought is, oh no, they just emptied a tub of snakes in here. But then I flashed my light on it and it was just a rat, completely unbothered by my presence, casually strolling along the wall like it was heading in for work. I remember standing there afterward, hand on my chest, thinking, if a rat almost gave me a heart attack, I am not built for whatever's waiting at the end of this tunnel. But I kept walking anyway. After about 10 minutes of walking, I got to a point where the tunnel splits into 3 separate paths. I checked to the left, nothing, just more darkness swallowing my flashlight beam. I checked straight ahead, same thing. And for a second, I actually let myself think, maybe this is it. Maybe whoever's doing this just got bored and left. Maybe I get to walk out of here and just go home and never think about any unknown numbers again for the rest of my life. That thought lasted about 4 seconds, because when I turn to look right, I see a shadow. And before I can even process what I'm looking at, the moment I look at it, I get sprayed directly in the face with something wet. I don't even take a second to think about what just happened. I just take off sprinting back from the way I came, screaming, absolutely convinced I just got pepper sprayed or hit with something worse. And I'm not joking when I tell you,
This was the closest I've ever felt to thinking I'm not going to make it through the night.
as I'm running for my life, I hear a voice yelling after me, Tyler, Tyler. But something about that voice stopped me for half a second because it sounded familiar in a way I couldn't imagine. It was like hearing a song you haven't heard in years, but still remembered some of the lyrics to. So, against every survival instinct in my body, I turn around and flash my phone light directly at whoever's chasing me. And who is it? Jason Voorhees? Freddy Krueger? Michael Myers? Michael Jackson? No, it's my friend. A friend I haven't seen in almost
8 years.
I'm standing there, soaked, heart still pounding out of my chest, staring at a face I haven't seen in person since I was a kid. And the first thing out of my mouth is just, "Are you real?" And he goes, "Yeah," with a big smile on his face, trying not to break out laughing.
But why was my friend I hadn't seen in almost a decade sitting in a dark tunnel harassing me and my mom for the past week?
Well, I'm genuinely angry at this moment, so I say,
Okay, what is going on here?
that was my angry impression. Did you guys like that? No? Okay, let me keep going. But this is when he actually explains everything. First off, it turns out the thing he sprayed me with was a water gun. But then he explains the whole situation and what had been going on these past couple days. So, the reason I hadn't seen this friend in 8 years is because his dad got a job opportunity in another state, so he had to move away. And when this happened, we were really bummed out because we were best friends. And now, we were never gonna see each other that often. But when his family was about to move, me and him made a pact.
Even though we weren't gonna live by each other anymore, we would still be best friends and no one could ever take that place. If one of us didn't obey this deal, there would be a punishment for the other person.
Well, I didn't obey that deal because
We started talking less and less as time went on.
and eventually, we drifted apart quite a bit. So as he's asking if I remember that deal we had, he shows me something I completely forgot I ever even posted. A photo from one of my other friends' birthdays where I captioned it, "Happy birthday to my best friend." He saw this post and said,
Oh, so it looks like you got a new best friend, huh?
which meant I broke our pact. And remember, there was a consequence for breaking this pact. And at first, he thought he was never gonna do anything about it. But a couple weeks prior to this all happening, he finds out that his dad just got laid off of his job. And because of that, they were gonna move back to my town. And instead of sending me a text being like, "Yo, bro, I'm moving back to town. We're gonna be neighbors again," his way of telling me he was moving back to town was to terrorize me for a week straight because I went back on our promise. When he told me all this, the only thing I could think to say back to him was,
You owe me a new pair of pants because mine are soaked.
and let me just say, the reason they were soaked was not because of the water gun.